Hello and welcome back to Flight Sim World. Last time out, I think we were taking off from Gatwick Airport and we were heading over here, South Downs and that sort of area. We were heading basically west out of Gatwick Airport, and we were just going to see what we could see out in England with the head tracking. As you can see, I am using head tracking, so I'm looking around over here to the left, and I'm going to be looking around to the right, and I'm looking up and down and everywhere, and it's absolutely brilliant. If you haven't seen my first part of the head tracking, oh yeah, I'm doing that. If you haven't seen the first part of the head tracking video, then do go check that out and explain how or what I've actually done to set this up. And I think there's also, I left a comment in one of them, someone asked me about how I set this up, so I've just briefly put in there what I've used, what protocol I've used, what program I've used to set it up, and obviously for each computer it's going to be very, very different. Also, I want to apologize for this video being a day late and for this video not having live commentary on it, because somehow I managed to either lose or delete the MP3 file for this. So for my voice is actually recorded separately to the video, and also I actually deleted the video file as well, but I managed to recover the video file, thank goodness for that. Unfortunately, the MP3 file is well, history, so unfortunately you're just going to get me here. So we're just going to be looking at this, and I am just going to be talking over this and talking a little bit more about head tracking and what we can see out the window and how I'm actually flying this. So you can see I'm just in the base of the cloud layer at the moment. I don't want to be too high up, because obviously I want to be able to see out the window, and I want to be able to see the ground down below. So you can just see under the nacelle for the actual propeller, to the engine nacelle. You can just see it down there. And we've just leveled ourselves off. I want to clear that because that's inside airspace. That's the warning that was just blinking up on the PFD and the MFD screen. So you can see that we're inside airspace. There's airspace ahead of us, and there's a certain amount ahead of us. So we can leave that and not worry about that. And you can see also that we are a certain distance away from Boscombe down RAF base, which is the actual VOR that we've tuned in. What I think we're going to do, or actually what I know we're going to do, but what we're going to do is we're going to fly over it, and we're then going to do a bit of a loop around, because otherwise it's going to be too short a video. Then we're going to do a bit of a loop around and then see. I mean, is that it? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. I think that isn't it. That's another airfield, and it will be coming up ahead of us pretty soon, because obviously the DME is showing it to be a lot, well, not exactly in that same place. But anyway, that's just that. So you can see we're now out of the cloud layer, and I have to admit that when you're just skirting through the clouds like this, it's very, very nice. Obviously, I did mention in the last one that they have to work on the trees, and yeah, that's true. They do definitely have to work on the trees, but it's still pretty good. I think it's doing really, really well, and I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy seeing this in this fashion, and it's very, very nice to fly. You know what, I fancy doing a misty morning flight or something. I think my next video, I think I might do a misty morning flight out of somewhere, but you know, that's just that. For the head tracking though, I think it's working really well. Obviously we've got the slight problems here and there. Just to get it working, you saw I could stick my head out the window. That's obviously a little bit silly, but it's a bit of fun. I was going to try and stick my head out the window and stay and, you know, land the aircraft with my head stuck out the window. But you can just see I'm just adjusting here by pressing the 0 key. I can adjust where I'm actually got everything centerized. But I'm just trying to sort it out, because at this point in time it is me just roughly testing it. I am roughly testing this head tracking software, and I will be using it in every other video. You see me using it in Assetto Corsa already. You'll see me using it in this. You'll see me using it in pretty much any video that I can. Any video that I can use it in, I will try and use it in. But yeah, having a look around, that looks like the airport. In fact, I think that is the airfield right up ahead. So that's RAF Boscombe down. Now obviously over to, what can I see out there? That's sort of heading towards, obviously like I said, there's Wiltshire going out that way. At the moment we're in Berkshire, I think, and there's Oxfordshire up to the north of us. We've got Oxfordshire. We've got Wiltshire ahead of us. We've got Somerset and Dorset. We've got Somerset after Wiltshire. We've got Dorset coming up, not too far. In fact, if we look over to the left-hand side, I will be looking over to the left-hand side. You can actually see the Isle of Wight over on the left-hand side. So that's actually there, and it actually looks pretty. It actually looks pretty good from a distance. Anyway, I might do a flight over that. So I might just do a flight over that isle, because I think it's nice to see. It's nice to see that it's all sort of modelled in. Obviously, it's just a standard texture. Now I'm just have to look around here. Just trying to get a look. I love this view though. This passenger view I think is absolutely fantastic, and I love the way, look, I could just have a look there. That is definitely RAF Boscombe down. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly over this. Now what I can see one of the runways here. So we've seen one of the runways. I'm going to see if I can line up to that runway. So I'm just going to do a, can you see that ILS line? You can just see that on the MFD. That's not the button I wanted. I was trying to zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you can just see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a circuit going out to this. So if we turn to the left in a few moments, we're going to just pass over the airport. We're going to turn to the left, and then we're just going to fly over in that direction. And then we'll do another left-hand turn, and then we'll fly back on the downwind leg, do another left-hand turn, and then come back. At the moment, the aircraft is in autopilot. With the heading and the altitude, we don't have, as you can see, there you go, I'm just sorting that out once more. We don't have speed on the autopilot, but we are now getting this turning around. Now, the one problem I have turning this, and you're going to see it here, the problem I have is when I look over to the side, obviously my mouse cursor moves with it, which means I can't actually turn that knob over and over, and I can't get a smooth turn going. The way to fix that is obviously to have actual physical hardware. To have a physical bit of hardware that will actually fix the problem, because I can then turn the knob on the physical hardware and be looking around, and my hand is still on that button or on that knob or whatever it's on, on that switch, and I don't have to be looking directly at it. It doesn't have to be on my monitor to actually, for me to be able to see that. Now we are going to be passing over a town in a moment. I think, I'm not entirely sure, I think this might be Salisbury. I think. And in fact, there looks like there's a river down there as well. You just see out the window, I'm just looking out there. I can see a river, but then it just sort of abruptly stops. Now, I'm not sure whether that's right. I'm fairly certain the river continues. If that is Salisbury, then I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that, I mean, you can just see where I'm indicating there. That's where I think the river should be continuing, but I'm not too sure what's happened here. I'm really not too sure what's actually happened here. It's kind of odd, because I've seen that the rest of it seems fairly accurate. You know, the other bits and bobs around the UK, but then looking at this and starting to actually see this in depth, and I can start seeing a few problems here where things disappear. That is if it is Salisbury. I can't be 100% sure. I know that it is somewhere near Boscombe Down, but then obviously I might have that wrong. So I passed over Boscombe Down, and then I went sort of along and down, and obviously I'm passing over the city, so I'm not entirely sure. I'll just say that I'm not entirely sure, but I think the river is supposed to continue all the way out to the English Channel. So it is going to go all the way out to the English Channel. But right now what we're going to do is we're just going to continue a turn, and I really like the fact that I can look into the turn. That's something that I find that's really important with head tracking, is looking into the turn so that you can see where you're going. You can see, look, you can see what the angle is on your aircraft. It just gives you a new dimension. It really gives you a new dimension as to what you can and cannot do in a simulator, and in fact in any game. If you had it in a game and you can look around, it's just like VR. You put on a VR headset and suddenly you can look around. The difference between head tracking and VR is that with VR you start feeling depth perception as well. Here I can sort of feign the depth perception. I'm saying that yes, I can sort of get depth perception right, but not entirely. Now what we're going to do here is we're currently on this heading at the moment. Now we're going to turn fairly soon onto the downwind leg, so you can just see me indicating that downwind leg there, and I think it's I think we're looking for a landing on runway let's have a look. I think that's going to be something like, we're going to be heading on a probably 040 or something. I think it's 040 or 050 is what we're going to be looking at. Now what we're also going to do is we're going to slow the aircraft down at that point. So at the moment we're pretty high up on the speed, so we're going to slow the aircraft down once we're on our downwind leg, and then after that what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to take over myself. So I'm going to switch off the autopilot at some point. I'm not sure whether to do it on the downwind or the base leg. It might be easier to do it on the base leg, but we'll see. So I'm going to switch it off, and then I'm just going to take manual control, and then we'll land the aircraft manually. So it'll be my first landing with head tracking on in Flight Sim World. I think I did one landing once with head tracking. That was in Flight Simulator 2006, so Flight for FSX is when I did a landing. And that was for my 500 subscriber special, I think it was a 500 subscriber special. Anyway, time to get turned onto the downwind leg now. So we're going to sort ourselves out, get ourselves on that downwind leg, nice and easy. There we go. And now it's just a matter of slowing the aircraft down, getting ourselves ready to actually land this aircraft. We're going to actually pass over another airport or another airfield. Which is exactly the plan. I'm hoping that I pass over another airfield at exactly through the middle of it, which is what I'm planning to do. If I don't, then we'll have to see. But you can see I've now reduced the power. So in this reduced power state, we should now be slowing the aircraft down. I will at some point, if I remember, put the props back to 100%. So that way we are in landing configuration. So we've got ourselves with maximum power available. But for now, we just need to slow the aircraft down nice and gently whilst maintaining our altitude of whatever altitude we're holding. Is it 2,500 feet? I can't actually see it properly on this on the display that I'm watching this. Obviously, because I've got to record this again, I can't see it all too well. And you can just see I'm just looking out and about here. It's very, very nice. And there's the airport ahead. I can just see that airfield up ahead of us, which is great. I think that's the airfield up ahead of us. Yeah, I think that is the airfield, which is absolutely great. That's what I wanted to pass over. And it looks like we're just going to pass through this cloud here. So I was planning to cut the autopilot at this point and fly the last bit of the downwind leg myself. And there we go. We're now going to put the props back up. I'm trying to do this nice one step at a time to avoid the wobble, too much wobble, and there we go. I mean, like I said, ideally I would have that on some sort of control where I can control both at once, but unfortunately I don't have that set up, not at the moment. In fact, no, I don't have anything set up. I was just going to say, because FSW is in an early access state and the SDK is fairly new, I think I did mention that I am working on something myself to get something working, but the likes of FSU, IPC or anything aren't actually on here at this moment in time, which means you can't do all of the fancy stuff that you could. I wish we could. I wish that was actually a default. That would be really nice if that was actually something that we could default to, where we could have multiple axes assigned to one physical axis or all that kind of stuff. I think that would be really nice, and per aircraft, I think per aircraft configurations would be brilliant, because you know, different aircraft require different things and different ways to fly them, which is obviously the importance of like a twin prop needing certain things, a single prop needing certain things, you needing extra controls on a more complicated aircraft, or you want to change out the controls for something else. For example, if there's a jet in here, I might want to I don't need mixture controls, for example, on that. I just want my throttle controls. I don't need mixture and prop control on a jet, but what I will need is I'll probably need speed brakes on a jet. So I'd want to assign, let's say I assigned my mixture control to I don't know, I've got a Cytec X52 Pro. Let's say I assign my mixture control to the slider on the X52 Pro. I wouldn't want that to be the same on the jet that's coming out, which I still feel is going to be the Airbus A320 series, which is going to be really, really bad because I can't fly an Airbus A320. I never have been able to, but there we go. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to, I've actually zoomed out there. I'm supposed to be showing you guys the Isle of Wight and Dorset. I was just highlighting where Dorset, Wiltshire, Somerset and all that is. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to come out of this cloud, and I think I'm going to cut the autopilot there. But going back to what I was saying about setting up per aircraft configurations for controls, an Airbus A320 is not going to need a mixture control or a prop control, but the Seneca 5 is going to need one, and I'd like to be able to load up the Seneca 5, and my slider on my X52 is set to be the mixture or the propeller RPM, that is the pitch. And then on the other side, now it'd help if I actually managed to press the right button. I almost managed to switch off the avionics, but now I am in manual control of this aircraft, which means we're going to land it ourselves very, very soon, but we do need to turn on to base. But yeah, so doing that and being then able to switch to the jet that's coming out and switch to that and go, oh yeah, now it's suddenly a speed brake. I don't have to reassign the control for every aircraft I fly. That's kind of important. That's something that FSU IPC did or does on the platforms that it works on. Now this is really nice as well. The fact that I can look around, I can actually now look to see where the airport is, and that's kind of cool. So I'm now looking around, so I'm just going, right, where is this airport? So I can just keep turning the aircraft, and I can just see, I just saw a bit of the airport over in the left window. So I'll say, right, I'll straighten myself up. I am on a base leg now, so I can slow the aircraft down further. And I can see an airport, so I know where I'm headed. This is really good for me. Yeah, and I can see on the map, on the MFD, I can see the glide slope indicator, sorry, the localizer indicator. So I've got that as well. I haven't set up the localizer here. We are doing a VFR approach, so we're not doing IFR here. If you want to see me do IFR, obviously there will be time where I will be doing IFR. But there you go. You can see that now we're pretty much ready to turn in. So I'm just going to ease off a little bit more, slow the aircraft down. We'll get the landing gear down, we'll get some flaps down, and I think we'll land at about, I'd like to land at about 85 to 90 knots. I know on the DLC, which I'm going to pronounce wrong again, the Kahalui, yeah, I think that's about right. The Kahalui DLC, the guy says there, the pilot says that they like to land at 80 knots and just let the aircraft sort of roll down the runway. I don't like this aircraft at 80 knots. I find it very sluggish. I find that the controls are a bit weird on it at 80 knots, and the other thing I find that I just don't have the sort of control I want over the aircraft at that speed. So there's one airfield. It looks like we're going to pass through over that one. So now I need to look out for the airfield I want. So obviously I saw an airfield and I'm like, okay, what is that one? And now we're going to just pop through the clouds, and there you go. We can see RAF Boscombe down. So we're just going to ease it in there, and obviously we've got to wait. We're going to try not to lose too much height whilst we get ourselves lined up on the puppy indicators for the glide slope. And then we'll just bring the aircraft down. But like I said, I don't want to land this at about 80 knots. I want to land it at about 90. I just feel the aircraft flies better at 90 knots. I just don't feel 80 knots is good for it. There comes the gear. So that's landing gear down. We'll get ourselves probably 2 stages of flaps as we come down. But we'll just get the aircraft slowed down nicely. So the extra drag from the landing gear should help us out. And what I like here is with head tracking, you see that window. Oh yeah, let's try and land like that. Why don't we? That's not going to work. That window that you can see right ahead of you with the black border, the one that I think is a direct vision screen. With that, it can get difficult to see the PAPI indicators if you're not using head tracking, or if you're not moving your view around. There comes flaps. If you're not moving your view around, the reason being is it just gets blocked in that black bar. Well, with head tracking, you can just see I can look to the left and I can look to the right, so I can see those lights at all times, which is really, really important. It's just like an actual pilot. If something's blocking your way, you sort of move your head and have a look from the other side, which is, you know, that's really good. That's really good. So I like that about head tracking. I think that's one of the things that I'm going to, in fact, I think all around head tracking I am really going to enjoy in Flight Sim World, just like I have in Assetto Corsa, just like I have a couple of times in Flight Simulator 10, and I literally mean a couple of times. I think I've used it twice. I used it once on the video that I mentioned, and I used it once to try. I wanted to see what would happen if I tried it on a PMDG 737-800, which that didn't go so well. The frames were dropping like nobody's business due to the intense amount of processing that was happening. With that being said, I think I can do better now on the computer than I ever could on the laptop that I tried it on. In fact, the laptop that I tried it on was even older than the laptop that I do my rendering and uploading on. So maybe even on this laptop it would work. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm sure I tried it on an older laptop. But anyway, we're coming into land very nicely now. So that's bringing me to the end of the video. Bit of a ramble, I know. I am sorry again that this is a day late. And for those people who were expecting transport fever yesterday as well, from the day that this goes out, which is the this is going out on the 7th of January. So for those people who were expecting Transport Fever to be out on the 6th, as well as this to be out on the 6th, I am sorry. Transport Fever will be coming out on the 8th. We're going to sort of skip an episode, so it'll be back on the 8th, but then I'll hopefully make that up to you guys. For those people who are wondering, isn't today's video meant to be Kerbal Space Program? Yes, Kerbal Space Program will be coming out tomorrow on the what is it? No, hold on. Transport Fever will be coming out on the 9th. Kerbal Space Program will be coming out on the 8th, which is a Monday. And then for those people who like Assetto Corsa, which I was talking about with head tracking, that will also be coming out on the 8th. So I'll be double videoing on a Monday. So that's how that will work. But generally, this normal service should resume. Anyway, bringing ourselves back into land quite nicely. We're just a little bit low, but we're correcting for that as best as we can. It looks like we're not perfectly aligned with the center line of the runway either, but I hope we can get this. I hope we can get this down. So just bringing it down very, very nicely, very easily. You can see when we're definitely not on the center line, perfectly on the center line of the runway. We're a little bit over to the left. I might use just a little bit of rudder to ease us over. There we go, just a little bit to ease us over. Flare, and that's a float. That's not good. And then down. There we go. Okay, good landing. The initial float wasn't good, but that's a fairly good landing. Okay, so let's get this aircraft slowed down, and well, there's a taxiway here. Can we get it off at this? Is not coming off at this taxiway. I can't make that taxiway. I'm on the brakes. I cannot make that taxiway. Alright, so the next taxiway is probably all the way down the runway. But there you go. There's a little introduction to the head tracking that I'm using on this. You can see I've just logged my flight hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Leave comments letting me know what you think of head tracking. If you use VR, I know I've been talking to some people about VR. If you use Track IR, if you use someone mentioned ED Tracker is pretty good as well. If you use Track Hat, or whatever you use, let me know. And if you don't use head tracking, just let me know, why is it that you don't use head tracking? Is it because you haven't heard of this head tracking software that I use that only costs a few dollars? It's donateware. Or is it because maybe it makes you feel sick? I know it does make some people feel sick. I'll be honest, after doing this the first time, I felt sick because it was wobbling about a little. It probably looks a lot more stable now, but the way I had to move my eyes and the way I was sort of moving my head to keep it as stable as I could, as we'll take this taxiway off, was pretty rough. It was really hard to do. So that wasn't all too great, really. But that did make me feel sick. I couldn't record any more videos after that. But anyway, that brings me to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Flight Sim World. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think. I can't wait until jetliners are available, and you are going to see me learn how to fly an Airbus, if it is indeed an Airbus. Last but not least, do support me on Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. Your support would be massively appreciated. It will help me out a huge amount and allow me to make a career out of this. Anything else I need to mention? Yeah, if you're watching this on Twitch, please thumbs up and follow, and stay tuned for more stuff happening. A new intro that's coming soon, and new overlays in the videos. You've already seen the new thumbnails, so there is more coming, and hopefully 2018 is going to be a great year for everybody. And if it's not, well, we've got 2019 to look forward to, right? Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you guys next time in Flight Sim World.